Thanks to the support as a channel member, Brett Jones. Finally moved my green screen a little bit closer to me so I don't just have to squash in on my face. It's taken me a month to do that. Better though, isn't it? You can see my shirt and everything. Hello and welcome to part 59 of Bourne Again. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have two games for you in League 2. We're at home against Burton and away in our big local derby, away against Lincolnshire rivals Boston. Since you were last with me, and we've had a mixed form in the league, but we're still top of the table, and more importantly, we've beaten our promotion rivals in League 2, Doncaster, in the second round of the FA Cup to set up a third round tie away against Aston Villa, who are currently top of the Championship. That is now managed by Paul Lambert again, apparently. That is a game that will be coming up in tomorrow's Bourne video. We'll have the FA Cup third round tie, but for today, it is all about getting some semblance of league form up and running again. Beating Doncaster across two games in the FA Cup, I think, was significant because they're a team who've been pushing us really hard. And if we can make it past Burton and more importantly Boston, who are a team who've been a challenge for us throughout this save, even though they're struggling a little bit at the moment, they are our local rivals. They'll consider themselves one of the bigger teams in Lincolnshire. I don't actually know what league Lincoln are in this game. Lincoln are up in League 1, so they'll probably think they're the biggest team. But Boston will be very much battling it out in their own minds with Scunthorpe and Grimsby, I guess, to be the second biggest team in Lincolnshire. We know it's us. We all know it's us. And we're going to prove it later on in this video. But first, let's take on Burton. And this is the team we're going to put out there to do exactly that. We've got Hattersley in goal, a back four of Mark Sheffield, O'Driscoll, Washbourne and Dodd. Broadbent and Dean in midfield. Goldie, Palmer and Berry supporting Dodds up front. I mentioned in the last video that I had a new striker I had my eye on. This is that striker. He did arrive. Chris Sadler, striker wearing number 6. Always a good sign. He's a slightly different kind of striker. Plays as a deep lying forward. I've tended to use him, bringing him on with 20 minutes to go. I've only used him a couple of times, as you can see, as a more defensive option up front. You can see he was actually transferred for £6 million going back 5 years or so ago. Southampton, West Ham buying him from Southampton for £6 million as a teenager and then never really using him. So he certainly at one point or another was considered one of the next big things, but never played for England at youth level, despite that enormous fee. And haven't really found a way to squeeze him into my team yet. Still trying to get some match fitness into him, which I realise he needs to play matches to get the match fitness, but he's doing that for the under-23s. And sooner or later, we'll get him in the team and get to have a proper look at him. Star rating wise, he's supposedly the best striker we've got at the club now, but I think Graham Dodds would have something to say about that because he is slowly but surely accumulating a decent goal total for this year, even though he does it in the most frustrating manner. He's one of those strikers who looks like he's not even interested for 80 minutes of the game, but then I'll pop up and grab a couple of goals for him. It's like, well, I want to drop you because you don't look like you care, but you're scoring goals, so I kind of have to keep you in the team. I've never been a big fan of that kind of striker, but Dodds, he's got the nostalgia value from being here. I mean, he was back when what's his name, Sadler was being transferred for £6 million as a 15-year-old. Dodds was getting 30 goals in a season for us in Tier 8. So, slightly contrasting pasts between our two strikers, considering they're roughly the same age. So it's going to be interesting to see which one of them ends up winning the permanent striker's position. Judging by their natural positions, we could do a lot worse than playing the two of them together, but doing that means a change to a system that, I mean, the league table confirms that this system that we're using now is working a lot better than any other formation we've used in recent years. So I'm not desperate to switch to a two-striker system again anytime soon. Goldie puts us 1-0 up, an 8th goal of the season for him. I think he might be our top scorer now after all that talk of Dodds. 8 goals for Goldie. I'm not sure if Dodds has made it to double figures yet, so that's a significant goal. But Dodds actually involved in the build-up play. He does hold the ball up quite well, and an option for Sadler, especially when you think that the 3 players behind the striker in this team are all here on loan. One option for Sadler might be to reinvent himself as an attacking midfielder. If he's naturally a deep lying forward, it's not that far of a separation to say, well, actually then, can you be a shadow striker or could you be an attacking midfielder playing in behind odds, and then he fits into this system. So there's certainly things to think about to try and find a way to squeeze that man into the team if he's as good as the West Ham manager from the distant past seemed to think he was. Broadbent from the kickoff plays it back to O'Driscoll, who looks up. I don't know where he's aiming there. For Goldie, maybe? It was nowhere near him. It was a poor pass and left us in a little bit of trouble, but Broadbent, as usual, has taken care of said trouble. Palmer plays it back to Broadbent, who's looking for options ahead of him. He's got Dean right there, and Dean would definitely be the pass I'd choose, because then he can play anybody in. He chooses to play Berry in, who's beaten his man once, then let him go past him again, crosses to Goldie, who has a couple of shots at it. It falls to Jordan Palmer, and he grabs his third goal of the season, our second of the game. He celebrates with a lovely little cartwheel. He's put us 2-0 up, and as it stands right now, at the halfway point of the season, we're 4 points clear at the top of League One. But more important, in a division with 3 automatic promotion spots and playoffs, more important than how far at the top we are clear by, good sentence, is how far clear we are of 4th place. And as it stands right now, 8 points clear of 4th place. That is a big deal at the halfway point of the season. It's almost reaching, you have to do a bit of a bottle job to not go up automatically from here territory. We're not quite there yet, but we are laying a very good foundation for an automatic promotion season. And of course, it would be perfect if that automatic promotion could be achieved via winning a title, because I don't remember the last time we went up as champions. We seem to have spent a lot of time knocking around in the playoffs recently. Did we go up? We came up by the playoffs, didn't we? Into the Football League. I think we came up to the National League North via the playoffs. It's a long time since we've won a title, and we look well placed to do it this year. So hopefully we can keep the team together, we can keep them playing well, and we can continue to push on for bigger and better things. One thing that's not bigger or better is our attendances. We've still only got about 300 Bourne fans in the ground for a game that's, we're top of the league. Let's get Sadler on. Let's have a little look at him. He wants to be that deep line forward. He can be a deep line forward on attack if he wants to. And then these 2 or 3 even can all push beyond him. We're also going to take off Broadbent. McWilliams can come on for him, and we can swap those 2 over to get Dean into his more natural playmaker role in midfield. We're going to drop a little bit of praise as well, because a 2-0 lead with 20 minutes to go, that feels like praise territory to me. And we've continued to keep it nice and tight. So let's have a look at what we can do for our final change. Ideally, we get McNulty on, because he still doesn't deserve to be out of the team. In fact, Berry is looking tired, so that's an easy way to get McNulty on. The one issue of McNulty being on the bench, not only that he doesn't deserve to be there, but also it does mean he's kind of blocking Norman from forcing his way into, or even onto the bench on that right-hand side of midfield. And Norman is one of our highest potential young players that we brought in the summer. So we're a little bit overloaded with talent on that right-hand side at the moment. And there was one of those talents, Dodd, crossing for Goldie, and the header is straight into the arms of the Burton goalkeeper. And as this game reaches its final moments, looks like we've maintained that 8-point lead over 4th place at the halfway point of the season. And that is big. Hopefully, we keep the winning run going against our local rivals and start to really stretch out that gap and get a promotion on the books as early as possible. Just the one change for the Boston game, then Lavelle is back from his suspension, so he comes back in at the back to slot in alongside O'Driscoll. The one thing I've noticed I'm not doing at the moment is playing Josh Barnes, who is one of our best players, but Mark Sheffel is also perfectly adequate at left back, and I struggle to squeeze him in. We've got the other 5 loans in there, and I think we worsen the team. I guess the one maybe would be O'Driscoll could drop out, but I think O'Driscoll's that much better than Washbourne that it makes sense to keep him in. It's a tricky one. Let's submit the team. I'm sure there'll be plenty of other opportunities as the season goes on where one of the 5 loans who's in the team right now are unavailable for whatever reason, and Barnes will still get his time. It's not like he's being hugely wanting for game time this season. He's probably played as much football as the majority of this team, because I don't think we've got anybody particularly close to ever present. We even changed our goalkeeper over partway through the season, so I imagine there's I imagine he's not going to be too upset about the game time that he's getting. We want to carry on from our last match. Boston, statistically, the lowest, the most out of form team in the league. So this feels like a perfect opportunity to go and rub some salt into that wound and show them who the kings of Lincolnshire are. Lavelle plays it across to O'Driscoll. O'Driscoll back to Lavelle. I did notice Boston have got two burger vans next to each other in that corner behind the goal at the other end. So they're a big club. They might not be any good at football, but they're clearly a big club. If they're a two burger van club, that's impressive stuff. Broadbent plays it to O'Driscoll. O'Driscoll looking for Dodds, can't quite get to him, but Dean looks for Dodds again, and Dean will find him. There's your two burger vans together there, and a third burger van with picnic table. Graham Dodds has just got his 10th goal of the season, though. There's burger vans everywhere. That must be the allocation we've got, because there's nobody at all in that terrace on that side. But that is a lovely finish from Dodds. This is what I was saying about him in the last episode. If he doesn't have time to think, he's outstanding. And that was a first time shot, and it was a beautiful finish. If he'd have taken a touch and tried to place that, it wouldn't have gone in. But if he doesn't think, he's very good. Dodd now looking to get the crossover, can't beat his man, and we end up with the throw. I was having a little look for our squad between the two matches, trying to work out where our most experienced players and things were. And one thing I know I've always been a Terry Broadbent fan, but one thing that I don't think I knew about him before, or I knew previously and have forgotten, is before signing for us, he played a season in the Championship for Ipswich. He was a regular player for Ipswich for 3 years, including one season where he played 28 games in the Championship, then got released and came to play for us in the National League. No wonder he's so good. He's like the prototype to Barnes, who I've been raving about all season long because he played 20 games in the Championship for Forest last year. Little did I know, we already had our own, and I'd already been raving about him because Broadbent is my hero. And that's why, because he's got all this experience at a much higher level to even what we're playing now. He could conceivably be in our team for another 3 or 4 years yet, which is awesome. Goldie, I thought that had gone into the top corner. He hit that so hard. Dodd ends up with the rebound way outside the area. It falls to Broadbent, who's had a look up, finds Dean. What a pass from Dean. Chris Dean is a player on another level from everybody else in this team. I'm raving about Broadbent, I rave about Barnes, but some of the passing from Chris Dean is absurd, and this is a perfect example of it. Broadbent knows just to give it to Dean, and that pass was perfect, and Goldie makes it 2-0 on 16 minutes away against Boston. As it stands right now, 10 points clear of Bolton, who are currently the team occupying 4th place. We're going to have a very Merry Christmas if things carry on as they are. Context, it's December in the game. That's not just a random comment about Christmas. But we're looking like a very, very good side. And I know it's still early in the season to be calling it, but I don't know. We feel like champions, don't we? Something's got to go wrong for us to not win the league this year, because we are a very good team playing very good football. That's a beautiful pass from Goldie to Dodds. Unfortunately, Dodds takes it whilst running and has to think about what to do next, which of course means it inevitably doesn't go in the back of the net. But we end up with a corner, and Goldie with the header almost manages to turn that goalwards, but it ends up going high and wide for a goal kick. But 2-0 up against 2-0 up against half-time, 2-0 up at half-time against arguably our biggest rivals in this story so far, local rivals Boston. We can't really complain, can we? We're top of the league, they're down in a relegation battle, and we're battering them at their place, and it's not even close. That is a tent/bar situation. I've never seen so many deck chairs and little tables and things as they've got here at Boston. They love a day out in Boston, clearly, for their football. They don't just want to go there and have to sit and watch the match. They want to sit at a deck chair and some patio furniture. What a tackle from Lavelle. Goodness me. 9 times out of 10 he gives away a penalty there, but somehow comes away with the ball. And now here's Dean again, looking for another beautiful pass. He finds Dodds. He's carried on his run as well. Dodds, though, too much time to think. We know what that means. Keeper's hands are ready. As soon as Dodds starts thinking, their keeper's like, here we go. Hands at the ready. The ball's coming my way. Hattersley rolls it out to Lavelle, who's still buzzing off the back of his superb slide tackle a minute ago. Plays it across to O'Driscoll. who's got plenty of options ahead of him. He's just running with it, gives it to Mark Sheffel. But with Boston look like they're afraid to even press at us at all. They're playing very negative football. Cross comes in from Dodds to Berry, goes just over, but we're playing some lovely stuff. And Boston just cannot get into this game at all. 20 minutes to go. We're going to do a little bit of shuffling because you know how much I love to shuffle. Palmer's going to come off for Robinson. In fact, no, he's not. We're going to put Sadler in there, even though he's never played there before. If that's a position I think he should be able to play, let's get him in there and see if he can learn to play it. And we'll bring McNulty on the right wing. And let's just see how Sadler looks in there. Before we even start training him for that role, let's see how he looks playing in that position. Because if he looks good, then it's a way to get him into the team. McNulty with the free kick from range. If anything, bent a little bit too much. If there'd have been a little less bend on that, their keeper didn't look like he was paying attention. That had him beaten. But unfortunately, it bent in so far, it basically banged into their keeper's leg as he was standing there. McWilliams comes on for Broadbent as our fairly typical, common third change. McWilliams just offering something a little bit different in midfield from Dean and Broadbent, who are very much... They're both deep-lying playmakers, although we have Dean on that box-to-box midfielder instruction for most of the game. But McWilliams is your natural box-to-box midfielder. McNulty just I mean, he's making it look easy. Dodds flicks it onto himself and then comes away with the ball. He's looking for options in the middle, skips past his man, cross comes in, Goldie's there, and Goldie now has his 10th goal of the season, and that's a lovely cross from Dodds and a lovely header from Goldie and a lovely win for us today away from home at Boston, and we are in form as we start to look ahead to this Aston Villa game in the FA Cup third round. We definitely need the money from a big away game in the FA Cup, that's for sure. But the form we're in, there's always a chance for an upset. If ever there was a time, we're in the form of our lives and we go to Aston Villa in like 4 games' time. Can we dream of a fourth round and the money that it might bring? Because, like I say, we really need the money. And we'll go collect a big bag of it tomorrow when we go to Villa and hopefully beat them. We don't really care. We just want the cash. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching. Trying not to cough over the outro there. Goodness me.